Yo, what up? Welcome back to the Tragical Show, the most depressing show on YouTube based on this channel title. Anyway, in this video I'm gonna talk about my favorite portrayals of Spider-Man, and I'm talking about the cinematic Spider-Mans, not the animated or comic book versions, or not even the Japanese series or TV, what the fuck that was. I'm gonna break down my favorite between Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland. And you can probably guess my favorite after I've been talking about the third spot. Uh, but I'm talking about things that, in my opinion, they do better than the other. And this is my list, my personal list. So if you don't agree, leave a leave a comment on why and what is your list? Please let me know so we can have a little conversation. Yeah, let's get going. I know why I do things like this. So yeah, on my number 3 spot, and my least favorite is Andrew Garfield. Don't get me wrong, I loved the Amazing Spider movies, and he did an amazing job. But here's the thing: when they released the trailer for The Amazing Spider-Man 1, I wasn't excited because Tobey Maguire, his Spider-Man was my childhood, and at that point he was the one for me, the one, you know, the greatest Spider-Man of all time. But eventually I watched The Amazing Spider-Man and I liked it, but I hated the suit. The first suit was bad. But they changed it in the sequels and later. But the suit was so ugly, in my opinion, and it didn't feel like a Spider-Man to me. But the second suit, like I said, was better and felt more comic book accurate. Um, Andrew Garfield's portrayal of Peter Parker was a little off, in my opinion. He wasn't that nerdy boy that Peter is. Instead, they gave him a cool look, and that didn't work for me. His portrayal of Spider-Man, however, was kind of like the comic book version. He was a little cocky and talky, but I still didn't really feel like it was the right Spider-Man. The villains in this movie was uh, good. There were good choices, but weren't done well. In the first movie, we have Dr. Kurt Connors, aka the Lizard, and I loved the Lizard as a kid. But in this movie, he didn't really look like the Lizard. He was a little cringy, to be honest. And in the second movie, we had so many villains. We had Electro, Green Goblin, and Rhino. And Rhino was only there for like a minute, then they wasted a great Spider-Man villain. Electro was the main villain through the movie, and I thought they did okay with him. Jamie Foxx is awesome, and he did good. I liked him as Electro. Green Goblin, oh boy, I hated how they did Green Goblin. First of all, that was not the Green Goblin, in my opinion. And I hated that they made the Goblin into a disease because, all the technology and Sony's rights to Spider-Man. And for fuck's sake, they can't make Goblin into a disease. And the right Goblin for me is Norman Osborn and not Harry Osborn. Because in this version, Harry was the Green Goblin. It worked in Spider-Man 3 because the first Goblin was in the first movie, and then Harry became the new Goblin in the third movie and picked up the mantle after his father, so that worked. But I don't really want you to start with Harry as Goblin. It's like if you debut Goblin in a new movie, it should be Norman Osborn that takes on the suit and becomes the villain. The love interest in these movies was Gwen Stacy, played by Emma Stone, and she was incredible. First of all, Emma Stone is an amazing actress, and she nailed the part. And I like that they had Gwen Stacy instead of Mary Jane. Don't get me wrong, I love Mary Jane, and she's probably my favorite Spider-Man love interest, but she's kind of the most known and the most mainstream in a way. So for them to take Gwen Stacy instead in the it's a good move. It's like they introducing a newer audience to this character, who may not know who Gwen is. So I give them props for that. Moving on to my second spot on this favorite Spider-Man list, and it's Tobey Maguire. Like I said earlier, he was my childhood. His suit was amazing. It really reminds you of the comic book version, and all of the three movies. The second one is clearly the best, and I know a lot of people will agree on that because Spider-Man 2 is not just the greatest Spider-Man movie, but one of the greatest superhero movies of all time. Toby's portrayal was kind of on point as Peter Parker. He was nerdy, he was emotional, with a lot of problems with his personal life and as being Spider-Man. Meanwhile, his portrayal of Spider-Man wasn't really Spider-Man, if you know what I mean. It was good, but he needed to be more cocky and mock his enemies a little bit more. Speaking of enemies, the villains in this trilogy. The first movie we had the Green Goblin, like I said earlier, which is Harry Osborn, played by Willem Dafoe. And I really loved this version of Goblin. He did such a great job, and he looked awesome. He was way better by look and performance if you compare it to the Amazing Spider-Man 2's Goblin. In the second movie, we have Doctor Octopus, and he's one of my favorite Spider-Man villains ever. He was amazingly done. The actor who played him was perfect. I don't remember his name. And yes, I could Google it and write it down, but I'm lazy as fuck. Okay, don't judge me. In the third movie, we had so many villains in the same movie. The whole movie was kind of a mess. I was really pumped for this movie when the trailer was released, especially because Venom was in it, and he's my favorite Marvel and Spider-Man villain. So, first off, the new Green Goblin was in this one, and I felt like he didn't have to be in it. It was cool the way they did him and his story arc, but not really necessary. The Sandman was in it. He was portrayed good, in my opinion. He had a great arc. He was alright. We had, like I said, Venom, and this really got me excited. But they fucked up. Fuck you, Sony, for ruining my favorite villain. Go and die. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, please. I'm sorry. No, but for real, they really fucked up this character. Wrong actor choice. He wasn't big enough for Venom, and he always showed his face, and I mean his real face, not his Venom face. The scary face. Plus, he was barely in the movie, and they promoted so much with him. I remember trailers with him, and the things we saw in the trailer was it, kind of. Let's leave it with the villains before I go berserk like Eminem, and move on to the love interest, Mary Jane, played by Kirsten Dunst, and I really liked this portrayal in the first two movies. In the third one, I didn't really like her. I kind of felt like she need she didn't need to be there at all. It was like they didn't know how to do with the character, continue her story. But yeah, they did great with her role, and me as a kid fell in love with her. I wanted my own Mary Jane so bad. So bad. In Spider-Man 3, they also had Gwen Stacy briefly as the love interest, and that was alright. It was nice to see Gwen, even though she didn't have a huge part. And that is why it was really great to have her as the main character in the Amazing Spider-Man later. Because Gwen is an awesome character. Come on. Let's move on to my favorite Spider-Man portrayal. No shocker here, but if you haven't figured it out yet, it's Tom Holland. One word. Perfection. Thank you for watching. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to talk more. Well, yeah, Tom is playing the role perfectly. His Peter is the best one yet. He's nerdy, smart, young, hormones. What? His Spider-Man is the best suit, most comic book accurate, cocky, mocking, can't shut the fuck up. The strongest of all three Spider-Man. He's in the fucking Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's fucking fighting Captain America, the Falcon, the Winter Soldier. How can he not be the greatest Spider-Man ever to you? I can't wait to see him in Spider-Man Homecoming this summer. Yeah. If you want to see my reactions on this version of Spider-Man, click on these two videos. And don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on the alerts. And which Spider-Man is your favorite? Leave a comment and I'll see you in the next video.